Welcome to Manifested Publishers. My name is Mr. Dongo. I am a lecturer of public finance and taxation. Today we are going to solve August 2024, and that is question 2. We read the question. Question 2A, revenue raised nationally should be shared equitably among the national government and the county government. Summarize 6 criteria that should be taken into account in determining the equitable share as provided under Article 203 of the Constitution. We put the question down. So 2A, revenue raised nationally, we say should be shared equitably among the national and county governments. Among the national and county government. And then we say summarize 6 criteria. Summarize 6 criteria that should be taken into account in determining the equitable share as provided under Article 203 of the Constitution Before we talk about this is basically the division of revenue bill. What actually determines the division of revenue bill? And to be precise, that is division between 2 levels of the government, that is the county government and the national government, basically the county and the national government. We can also talk about conditions that are basically put into consideration when the revenue is basically being shared between 2 levels of government, that is the national government and the county government. One of the conditions is what we call the national interest. We say that we call it the national interest. Then we talk about any provision, what we call any provision that must be made, any provision that must be made in respect, any provision that must be made in respect to the public debt, and other national obligations Apart from debt, we talk about any other public obligation, other national or public obligation. So we can also talk about the next is the need, what we call the need of the national, government, the need of national government. What does the national government basically intend to achieve? what does basically the national government intend to achieve? That is the need of the national government. Then we can also talk about number 3, what we call development, and other needs of the counties and other needs of the counties. Development and other needs of the counties. Development and other needs of the county. We can also talk about the fiscal capacity, what we call fiscal capacity, fiscal capacity, and the efficiency, what we call the efficiency of the county, government, and the efficiency of the county government. Fiscal capacity and the efficiency of the county government. We can also add one, that is the 6th one, what we call the need to ensure that county governments are able to perform functions allocated to them. They need to ensure that the county basically can perform the functions that are basically allocated. So we say that these are basically functions that are devolved to the counties, functions that are basically devolved. We can add one and say that economic disparities, what we call economic disparities within and among, and to say within and among counties, and the need to remedy them, and the needs and the need to remedy is basically to find solution to remedy them, and the need basically to find solutions to those disparities that are experienced within the county. And as we summarize, basically, when we talk about this particular question that basically touches on Article 2 or 3 of the Constitution, basically when you look at this particular question, students normally confuse this question to parameters that are basically used to allocate revenue amongst the county. When you talk about those parameters, we know that population, poverty levels, the landmass areas, and of course in that we also know that one of the major contributory in terms of allocation is the population. But when you talk about in terms of division of revenue equitably among the national county, these are basically the points that need to be put across: the national interest, development and other needs of the county, fiscal capacity and efficiency of the county government, the need to ensure that the government, the need to ensure that the government, we say the county, we had this, the need to ensure that the county governments are able to perform functions allocated to them. Then lastly, we talk about economic disparities within and among counties and the need to find solutions to them. That is how we basically solve that question. That is question 2, Roman A. We pick it on the next question, that is question 2B. So being told that Masomo Public University, that is into bracket MPU, intend to get into public-private partnership to assist in the construction of a new hostel. Currently, the university challenges is how to maintain control of hostels facilities under the construction under PPP. So then we are required on that explain 2. The question is that explain 2 PPP investment model for addressing the needs of MPU, the needs of MPU, for addressing the needs of MPU. Very important, we need to understand that this is basically a topic on its own. This is basically a topic on its own. Topic 5, that is public-private partnership, where with the need for alliance between the public sector and the private sector. And for particularly this question, we have rationale. What is the rationale behind? The rationale behind the PPP. Again, that's also a very valid question. When you ask the rationale behind the PPP, one of the rationale we basically understand that is to gain from the expertise. When we have those PPPs, public-private partnership, we are able to gain from the expertise. We are able to gain from the expertise of the private sector. But for this particular question, we are asked, that is B, explain. We have read that. The question basically say explain, explain, explain to what you call two PPP, explain the two PPP, investment models, investment model, suitable for, we say for addressing, what you call suitable for addressing the needs, what you call the needs of MPU, that is Masomo Public University. So the various investment model, many number of investment model, but you can pick on 2 or 3 and discuss. So we can have the first one, which is called the joint venture. The first model, we call it the joint venture. The joint venture. So we basically say in this model, we basically say that in this model, the investor and MPU, which is Masomo Public University, will jointly, when you talk will jointly finance, we say finance the construction, will basically jointly finance the construction of the hostel facility, comma, we say share management, and the risk, share the management at the risk of running the hostel, facility. So one of the model is a joint venture, where there's sharing of management, basically risk that basically emanate from the construction of the hostel facility. The second one, an investment model, we will call it build, operate, and transfer. Build, operate, and transfer. Build, operate, transfer. A simple way to remember that is BOT, B-O-T. Build, operate, and then transfer. And basically you're saying that in this model, we're basically saying that in this model, the investor, basically in this model, the investor will provide, the investor will basically provide financial resources, will provide the financial resources to build, we say to build the hostel, will basically provide, the investor will provide the financial resources basically to build the hostel facility, and upon, we basically can say, and upon completion, will transfer, will transfer, will transfer, will transfer the facility, will transfer the facility to MPU. MPU, you know that Masomo Public University. And upon completion, transfer the facility to MPU after operating. After we say operating, after operating, facility and recouping the investment, getting back the investment and recouping the investment. And basically recouping the investment, what they put in that PPP. Then you can add at least one. We can add at least one. We talk about build, what you call build, own, build, own, operate, and transfer. Build, own, operate, and transfer. Into bracket, that is B-O-O-T. That is bought, B-O-O-T. So we basically say that in this model, we say that in this model, we say that in this model, comma, the investor, basically in this model, we say that the investor finances, investor finances and acquires, to, when you say finances, basically put finances to this and acquire the hostel facility, and acquire the hostel facility, which, we say which he operates, which basically he operates for an agreed, which he operates for an agreed duration, to, we say to recoup, agreed duration, basically to recoup its investment, to recoup or to get back its investment, to recoup its investment, and transfer the ownership, what you call ownership, to MPU. MPU is the Masomo Public University. Just to emphasize on what I've said, when you talk about BOT, BOT is a model where basically an investor, that is the public sector, finance and at the same time acquire the hostel facility, which basically operate, meaning carry out the function they need for an agreed duration, agreement maybe for 10 years, to do what? To basically recoup or get back the investment, then finally transfer back the hostel to Masomo Public University. Just as I'd introduced that, particularly when you talk about public-private partnership, is also an area that has a number of things, you can ask about the rationale. We can be able to see rationales even in the investment model. In the investment model, we can see that when that happens, there is the sharing of risk, but again also gaining of expertise. That's also a question that can be asked. How are those projects being managed? So it's a question that is actually feasible, a question that is very good for learners to actually, as a topic to look at in depth, in order to be able to score in this area. That is how we particularly handle that question 2B.